culture, for we are too blind to see our custom fading away day by day. Oh, we'll find ourselves saying, how did it end up this way? But take us to tomorrow. Mga hitman malapa, new story. Take us to tomorrow. Mga hitman malapa, new story. Have you ever thought to stop and look around you? Not even half of us know how to speak tomorrow. As each passing day, it's fading away. That's why we must start today, showing the tomorrow way. But take us to tomorrow. Mga hitman malapad, new story. Take us to tomorrow. Mga hitman malapad, new story. The children today
our future
must teach them to say, protect our culture.
There won't be no tomorrow.
There's no better time than today, the tomorrow way. Take us to tomorrow. Mga hitman malapad, new story. Take us to tomorrow. Mga hitman malapad, new story. Take us to tomorrow. Mga hitman malapad, new story. Take us to tomorrow. Mga hitman malapad, new story. Take us to tomorrow. Sa Diyos mo kasi.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Paraíso. One more time, please. Since the first lady's time is very brief, we'd like to get right to it. And it's a great pleasure of mine to introduce somebody who is not only well-known here in Guam, but is also well-known in Washington circles, we're very happy to say. He has been our congressman for the past 3 years, and we hope he'll be our congressman for many years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Congressman Robert Underwood.
Mrs. Clinton, Governor Gutierrez, members of the First Lady's delegation, and most distinguished people of Guam. It is a great honor and privilege to formally welcome you to our homeland, Guam. I know that you will find our island not only beautiful, but steeped in history and traditions. From ancient voyagers to Spanish explorers, in peace and in war, in times of natural splendor and natural disaster, we, the people of Guam, have persevered and thrived. As you make your way to Beijing, it is important to note that the tomorrow culture of our island is based upon important social and political roles for women. Traditionally, we trace our lineage through matrilineal clans, and women take important decision-making positions in familial and cultural events. Tomorrow men tend to make important decisions like whether to protest French nuclear testing or not, but women make inconsequential ones like where to live, what house to buy, and what family event to attend this weekend. From the office of the Lieutenant Governor to 30% of the legislature to government directorships, bank vice presidents, judges to CEOs, you will find women participating, giving directions, and setting the course for Guam. Your visit to us is more than a brief stopover. It represents great expectations and renews our faith that people do care, that people in Washington understand the importance of Guam and its people, that our grievances and concerns will be heard. As so often has been in the case of the history of Guam's people, we are energized by the presence of a woman, and we are inspired by her. We recognize the historic value of your personal efforts to confront injustices and do the right thing for all the peoples who make up this nation. While Margaret Thatcher maintained political values different than my own, I do subscribe to one statement attributed to her, and I quote, "In politics, if you want anything said, ask a man. If you want anything done, ask a woman." Mrs. Clinton, welcome to Guam, and I am asking, it is now my personal privilege and high honor to introduce the chief executive of this beautiful island, and a man related to me through my mother, the governor of Guam, the Honorable Carl T.C. Gutierrez.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. There is no warmer feeling in the world like coming home, especially when home is as beautiful as ours. Don't you agree? I can't tell you how happy and proud I am to have traveled here with our very special guest on Air Force One tonight. If there is one thing Guam is noted for, it is our hospitality and our warmth. It is part of who we are as a people of the land. We are truly proud to share our magnificent tropical scenery and our centuries-old culture with our visitors. That is why more than 1 million people came to experience Guam last year. We are truly America's best-kept secret. Tonight we have with us a very special first-time visitor to Guam. We may be providing her with a slightly larger welcome than other visitors, but we want her to know how delighted we are that she made time to be with us tonight. Although we eagerly anticipate a visit from the President himself, his visit could only be surpassed by his charming Corazón y Corazón, the heart of the heart that's here tonight. First Lady, Mrs. Clinton, on behalf of all of us, Hafaday and welcome to Guam. We want you to know that there are many exciting events unfolding for Guam right now, and many of them are due to the direct assistance and attention of your husband, President Bill Clinton. And thanks to his quick action of President Clinton, we now have a new Commonwealth negotiator, Mr. Stanley Roth. He is also with us here tonight. Stanley? There he is, right there. I had the pleasure of meeting with him in Hawaii and spending several hours sitting right across him on Air Force One, and I'm sure that he wanted to do other things for China, but we talked about Guam for a while. And thank you for your attention, Stan. I am convinced that we will work very well together, and his presence here sends a strong message about the sincerity of the Clinton administration. First Lady, for many years, Washington, D.C. seemed as far away politically as it was geographically. But we now see that our voice is being heard in our nation's capital. The actions of your husband and your visit here tonight show us that you care. And for a group of people who are as patriotic and fiercely proud of being American as we are, that really means a great deal. We want you to know that Guam is in a unique position to showcase the United States in the Pacific and in Asia. There is no place in the world like Guam. We are a society of many nationalities, and ethnic backgrounds living together peacefully. And as Chamorros, we have welcomed this diversity with open arms. Guam has been known as the place where America's day begins. And in that context, I've also been referred to as the man from tomorrow. Remember, we left yesterday, tomorrow here. We want to fulfill our potential as the Pacific gateway between Asia and the United States. I don't believe you can find any place as well positioned as Guam to act as America's business ambassador to the East. Think of us as a special assistant to Ambassador Madeleine Albright. Ambassadors, thank you for your presence here tonight. With continued cooperation from Washington, there are infinite possibilities for Guam. We will all benefit from our growth. I sincerely hope that you would spread the word about America's best-kept secret, Guam. Well, I think you've heard enough from me. They get me to speak all the time, and then they tell me to get off. So now I'll give them what they've been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear people of Guam, please give a warm welcome to our very honored guest, First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for that warm welcome that I have been feeling ever since we determined that I could stop here on the way to Beijing. Between your congressman and your governor and others, I have been feeling increasingly welcomed as I have moved across the Pacific. And I have learned a new phrase, half a day. You know, as the governor said to me, it is nearly morning and sunrise in much of the United States. And, you know, a lot of the morning shows there, when you see them, they're always saying good morning from somewhere. And I hope that maybe today or tomorrow, someone on one of those shows will say half a day from Guam, and everyone in the country will know. I am delighted to be here with all of you, and I want to say a special word of thanks to the governor and to his wife for welcoming me here this evening. I also want to say a special word about and to your lieutenant governor, whom I first met when her late husband was your governor. And I was stunned for a moment today getting off the plane to see her granddaughter, whom I had not seen for quite some years, who is now the age of 15, the same as my daughter. And as she reminded me, the last time they were together, Chelsea and her granddaughter, they were inseparable in a swimming pool at one of the governor's conferences in Idaho, which is also a long way from Guam. I also want to thank your congressman. He gave a great speech, as he often does. He got a great endorsement from Clifford, which is very nice to hear. And I should tell you that he is really making a mark in Guam. All during the time when we were working on health care reform, he constantly stayed in touch with the White House and the administration and with me personally to make sure that the interests of the citizens here in Guam were not forgotten. So you have a very strong voice there. I want to thank also the members of the legislature and the judiciary and the mayor who were there to meet me as I came off the plane, and to all the members of the Guam Commission on Self-Determination, whom I know are here as well. As you know, and as the governor just referred, A few weeks ago, the President filled a key position by naming the Special Representative for Guam Commonwealth negotiations in order to put the negotiations back on what we all hope will be a fast and productive track. And I have Mr. Stanley Roth, the President's appointee, with me here this evening, as the Governor introduced. I think it is particularly fitting that Guam is my first stop after leaving the VJ Day observances in Hawaii. You were, as so many in this room know from firsthand experience, the only American community occupied by a foreign power since the War of 1812. In that war of so many years ago, damage was done. In fact, the White House was burned. Those of you who visit as tourists and official visitors will see that we have kept the burn marks that are there permanently from that invasion to show and to remind ourselves of what was done. You have so many more reminders in your families and in your communities, because the courage and determination that the people of Guam showed and the extraordinary price that you paid during World War II is something that deserves the respect and appreciation of all Americans. Your sacrifice and heroism for 32 very long, terrible months were instrumental in ridding the world of a terrible threat of tyranny and creating a peace that has lasted now for a half-century. On behalf of the President, I am proud to be here to thank all of you for the enormous contributions over the years that you have made in defense of America and democratic values. America thanks you, and I want to personally deliver that message here this evening. I know that you live a long way from Washington, D.C., but I can assure you that your needs are being heard. We do hear your voices and your concerns. As the Governor also mentioned, I have with me this evening as well the United Nations ambassador, who is the head of our official delegation to the Women's Conference, Madeleine Albright, and also Winston Lord, the Assistant Secretary of State for East Asia and the Pacific, who is no stranger to this part of the world. They, along with Mr. Roth, are only three of the people who represent America's commitment to the Pacific, America's commitment to the expansion of democracy. And even though my stay here in Guam is much, much too short, it's like being given a delicious appetizer and being told that I cannot eat the main meal, I will be looking for opportunities to return. I must also say that the Governor told me on the way in from the airport that Guam is about to be, if not already, the home to more golf courses per square inch than any piece of habitable land in the world. And certainly I know at least one person very well for whom that is quite an attraction. I hope that more Americans that perhaps hear or see something of my visit will join the more than 1 million tourists who have come here discovering the beauty not only of the land, but also of the people. I want to thank the young people, particularly the children, who performed for us just a few minutes ago. They were very moving and very beautiful. I am leaving tonight after I leave you for China, where I will be attending the United Nations Fourth World Conference on Women. The delegation that the United States is sending is a very distinguished one, headed by Ambassador Albright. consisting of people, Democrats and Republicans, liberals and conservatives from all walks of life, but who are united in the belief that the roles and opportunities for women, as I've heard detailed here on this podium about what is going on in Guam, are key to the advancement of all people. The main goal of the United States' delegation of 45 men and women will be to promote policies around the world, including in our own country, that improve the status of women, children, and families, and enable all women to fulfill their God-given potentials by making the choices that are right for them. There is no preordained choice, and in fact, because women and men are living longer, we may be making different choices at different points in our lives to fulfill the various opportunities and roles that we are given. This conference will focus world attention on issues that matter most to women, children, and families: education, health care, economic opportunity, freedom from violence, and the protection of human rights. It is important that America play a leadership role at this conference. Issues of concern to women are crucial not only to the economic and social progress of our nation, but of every other nation. And we must help give voice to these issues. They are not only women's issues, they are obviously men's issues as well, because we know that when we educate girls and boys, when we provide health care to girls and boys, when we give opportunities to every child, like the beautiful children who were just here, we not only improve individual lives and give strength to individual families, we also strengthen communities and nations. We do not have a person to waste in this world we live in today. And when one looks into the face of any child, we can see every child, and we should. One of the things that I have loved as I've learned more about Guam, as I've prepared for coming here, is what has been reported to me of the great love of the Chamorro culture for children and families. That is a love and a commitment that many people throughout the world no longer have the opportunity to feel or experience. Part of what we hope to achieve by going to this conference and focusing world attention on these issues is to begin the process of renewing our commitment to children, to renewing our belief that every person is valuable in his or her own right. And by doing so, to come together to find common ground that enable us to solve problems that confront children and families everywhere. So I have very high hopes that this will not just be a lot of talk, but will enable us to learn from one another how we can best work together to solve the problems, whether they be in Guam or Washington, D.C., Beijing, or Buenos Aires. Everywhere throughout the world, we are confronting issues that are essential for us to deal with if we expect to have the kind of futures that the children who were here performing deserve to have. So on behalf of my husband and I, and really all Americans who may not yet have come to Guam, let me thank you for this warm welcome. And I hope to have an opportunity to greet as many of you personally as I can before I must resume my journey. But I hope that each of you knows that we are thinking of you, caring about you, considering all that we can do to make sure Guam continues to grow and prosper so that all the children here have as bright a future as possible. Thank you all very, very much.